TSF Entertainment.
Yo, welcome back to TSF Entertainment. This time we are bringing you BMF episode 2 Discovery, and I got none other with me than the man himself, Jack George. What's going on, bro?
What up, though? How you?
Go hang it in there. Before we get into it, what you think about the episode?
I think this episode was a lot better than the last episode. It still was, still moving a little slow, but it definitely was a lot better than the episode. Last episode, I think I gave it 3.5, something like that. This one I give it 6.
Shoot, dang. This time, yeah, I agree. This one was way better. I give it an 8. This one was actually way better.
Okay.
When it first started off, I was like, man, please, so I don't even want to deal with the Mexico joint unless we about to find out why him and T are beefing, which we didn't even find out.
Right.
So I was just like, man, this ain't even worth it. But joint just kept getting, as it progressed, it just kept getting better and better. So yeah, this was definitely a way better episode than the last one. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into this review. The synopsis for episode 2 says Meech and Terry are focused on expanding their business while Terry looks for a new connection in South Carolina. A new musical artist piques Meech's interest. Detective Brian continues his pursuit of BMF. So, of course, what we were just talking about, the episode kicks off in Mexico, and we see Loco cutting up a deer as there are, what are those, wolves, coyotes out there?
Yeah, it sounds like a combination of both.
Out there. So he's trying to cut up the deer meat so that each of them can have toss it to keep the coyotes or the wolves or whatever it is from attacking them, so they could go like 3 separate ways and not have them after them. But of course, Terry, he's not with that. He's like, man, I'm not touching no meat. I ain't throwing no meat. I ain't doing this. We need to stick together. And Loco's not having that, but ends up threatening him with a knife. And of course, Meech gets involved. I thought here is where it was going to be, where we was going to get the, you know what I'm saying, what happened between them in Mexico. I felt like right here, it was going to be one of those where, you know, Meech and T was gonna have at it, like, man, you picking Loco over me just because he just like literally threatened me with a knife and you ain't do nothing to it. So
a lot of people did, though.
Yeah, he did. He pretty much did, but I just figured like that's where we was gonna see it. But it was real short lived. After that, you know, Meech tells Terry like, man, look, stop being a punk. We got to do this. If you ain't in it, you know what I'm saying. Whatever, you need to go ahead and remove yourself out of this situation because I'm going forward with it. So back home in Detroit, the whole scene, everybody is in T's restaurant talking about Lamar and what happened to Lamar. Stirrer walks in and he even comes up to T and saying that the whole streets are talking about what happened to Lamar, who's behind it and whatnot and whatever. And T's telling him, man, look, don't even worry about that right now. You know what I'm saying? T knows it was none other than B Mickey, and he got Hoop sitting on him, watching his every move. And while he's doing that, he's trying to find a way to bring in 50 tons to run through Detroit. But at that same time, we got Misha Duffy in Atlanta, and Misha already got the stuff moving, or already got it all planned out to move.
Get out already.
He got the whole map, he got the whole layout, everything. Him and Duffy just going through it, and he like, man, look, we about to get it. We about to take over everything. I'm curious though, as to, I wonder if that's maybe T left Mexico early, and so he don't know that Meech is coming in with 50 tons. Because I'm trying to figure out like how T like, I'm trying to move it, and then Meech like, we gonna move it.
I think it's just a breach in conversation, communication, to be honest, and like the competitiveness of Southwest T. You know, he's just trying to get it done before Meech get it done, but Meech already didn't figured it out. That's what I think it is.
Okay. Because I was sitting here wondering when I watched it, I was like, okay, you trying to figure it out. Meech had already got figured out. So who y'all didn't talk to, or like did Meech not tell Terry yet that, you know, the 50 tons is coming in, but I was like, there's no way T would know about the 50 tons if, you know what I'm saying, they both didn't know from, from Loco who, that it was coming in or whatnot.
I think T just being a punk, to be honest. I think that's all that it is, just to be honest. He's just trying to outdo his big brother. He trying to say at the end, I'm the one that got these 50 keys moving, not you, Meech. I'm the one that's doing this,
Yep.
Not you, Meech. And I think that's what it is. He just being a punk.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see more of that next episode.
Brady
So here we got B Mickey, and I'm not sure if it's his girlfriend or his wife Aisha. And B Mickey walks in the house from work as he works overnights, and he asks about their daughter V and how she slept. And Aisha tells him, like, she didn't sleep real good. We might have to end up having surgery for her again. We really need this money.
Did we ever figure out what's going on with the daughter?
Oh, we did. Briefly. When he goes to see, when we get to that scene where he goes to the church. It was something that she was born with. I can't remember if he really touched on it too much, but it was something that she was born with. I feel like he said a heart defect or something like that. Because I don't think he told T what was going on with her. I believe it was in that scene right there.
I'm trying to put it all together to figure out what type of surgery it is that she needs, because if he works at the plant, and I was just thinking about it too, because Charles worked at the plant, but Charles had other issues and things he was doing with his money. If B Mick worked at the plant during those times, the plant was like, if you worked at the plant, you was rich.
Yeah, but I mean,
but if it's, depending on the surgery and everything, that'll say a lot.
Yeah, because if I remember, then when T got shot, they didn't have money for his medical bills, right? They ended up using the money from the settlement.
But Charles' biggest problem was he was always buying guitars and things like that to chase down that dream. And that's why I was saying, like, with Mick, if he's working at the plant or something,
he should have some bread.
Yeah, he should have, because back then people was moving to Detroit to work for one of the big three because they was making so much money. That was kind of like one of the top of the line jobs. And I was like, the daughter got to be going through something crazy, for them not to have surgery. I remember him saying something too, but they ain't got insurance either. So I think I said, I remember him saying he ain't working enough hours yet to get insurance. So forget all I just said.
Okay. Yeah. I also wondered in this scene right here if B Mickey told Aisha about his past, because it seemed like, in a sense, she kind of alluded to, like, hey, if you got to go back out in the streets to go get the bread, go get it, in a sense. But then at the same time, I'm just wondering if she just don't know and B Mickey like, nah, don't worry about it. I'm gonna just go holler at Meech, or I'm gonna holler at Terry and just try to get the bread and do whatever. But
I think she knows something.
Yeah, I think she probably knows something. So here we have Mama Lucille, the first lady at church, who's giving her first sermon. Everybody's loving the first sermon. We even got Charles, he front row. He's loving the sermon. After the sermon is over, Charles runs into B Mickey there at the church. And there at the church, B Mickey tells Charles, about him working at the plant, how he's handling things with his family. And while he's doing that, Mama Lucille rolls up, tells him, he's always welcome. And from there, he tries to, not try to, he asks if it's possible that the church can give some type of donation or some type of fund to help his daughter get surgery as she has a health issue. And Mama Lucille tells him, we can try to get as much as we can from the benevolent fund, but, it's not a big promise that we can raise all the funds to, get the funds to help help your daughter, with her surgery and everything. And was it me, or it seemed like Charles didn't want him in the church?
It wasn't you. I don't know if it didn't want him with the church, but when she said that, he definitely cut his eyes. Like it's something else to it, and it might just be just the funds that they was talking about, because it seemed like that's when he just started cutting his eyes and rolling his eyes. Like my man Uncle Charles was a little pissed off about something. So it rubbed him the wrong way for sure. And I'm thinking like it's definitely something more to this fund because he mentioned it again.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yeah, in the later, in the later scene, he mentions it again.
Something to it. It's something.
So yeah, it might be something too that we're gonna end up hearing the next episode or the upcoming episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So back down in Atlanta, we got Abe, who was Milton's father, who Milton got unalive last season, little kid, and we got Detective Brian being undercover as Mark, and he brings Abe back to his home in Techwood, and I don't know if that's BMF. I don't know if that's Meech's crew that's still out there selling weight or doing whatever. But they still out there moving things. And Abe tells him, like, hey, it's all gonna be over soon as they're gonna tear down Techwood for the Olympics that was coming to Atlanta, which was actually a true story. Now I don't know if it was actually Techwood, but I know they tore down a lot of projects just to make room for the Olympics in Atlanta. And in the process, Detective Brian, he goes over to one of the dealers to ask for a light, which I figured like he was just going over there, I guess maybe to try to press him, to try to get some info or something. Because I was like, you had a lighter. So I felt like maybe it might still be BMF crew in Techwood. And in the process of him going to grab the lighter so he can light a cigarette, the Red Dogs roll up and proceed to give this man a beat down, which I loved every minute of.
I did too, but why did they beat him down so much?
I don't know. I guess maybe he was resistant or they caught him first.
Because it was like the one dude turned towards them. Then you see Kane rush over there. I'm assuming that's the guy's name. And then you see like two other dudes rush over there. And I'm like, all these other people. But I know they did it for dramatic purposes, but that's just me being critical of the show.
I mean, it was known how crazy the Red Dogs were. So like they, it was no holds barred with them. So they might just have been beating them down just to give them, just to,
because he was the easiest one not to resist.
Yep, and make sure like he don't come back to Techwood, as well as possibly giving a beat down so they could get some info, on who he's buying, which they thought he was buying drugs from. And they end up taking him into the interrogation room, and in the process, we now find out that Detective Bryant is Atlanta PD, which is weird to me, because how would they not know? Because he's not Detroit anymore. He's not a Detroit PD no more.
Which that was kind of like that was a far-fetched scenario too. Because how do you not know that he's undercover or not? If he's Atlanta PD, how do you not know?
Yeah, like because I was trying to figure that out, because there's a thing, because I still thought he was Detroit PD.
Nope.
Until
they said he lateral to Atlanta.
Yeah, it's a lateral to Atlanta, and we get that other scene with Detective Waters and everything. But in this interrogation, detective, I don't know if he's a detective, but Officer Kang and Officer Hardy interrogate him, and they find out about his past up in Detroit. Basically, try to say he was a snitch and everything, and he's like, "Nah, that's not what it was. I did what I had to do and took down who I had to take down to make things move."
Mm-hmm.
So from there, they let them go. So back here at T spot, we got Markeisha, who is talking to T, and she has everything all set up with Isaac down in South Carolina. And T is like, everything is all good, cool, I'll go. And of course, Markeisha's mad about that, because once again, he tells her that, like, yo, you're not ready yet. Even though you put this thing together, like, I'll go by myself.
But doesn't that prove more that T needs help in order to make certain moves? Like Meech could have a conversation to get it done with his own, but T kind of need a middle person almost, he kind of needs somebody to assist him.
Yep.
Which pisses me off, because it's like, T, sometimes you're a boss, but you're a boss with limitations, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, like, it's all good, but like you said earlier, T, he gonna figure out, he trying to prove everything to everybody right now,
Yeah.
He's bigger than Meech. He's better than Meech. He's the one who's running everything in the whole BMF. He's the one who's getting everything popping.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, like I said before, he tells Markeisha that she's not going with him to South Carolina. That he's going to go do it himself. Matter of fact, hold on, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments or even Jack or George. He didn't go to South Carolina, did he? Because, and I hate to jump, scenes, but Isaac ends up.
I think he came to Detroit.
Okay, so maybe there was something off scene that we didn't see or hear after this scene right here. I could have swore he told her that he was going to South Carolina by himself
to the meeting by himself. And then that's what she said, that she wanted 30%.
Okay.
And he was like, I'll make sure you get what's coming to you. But I'm not sure they specify whether it was Carolina or Detroit.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I wonder what that was. Okay. So back here in Atlanta, we have Laz, Meech, and Duffy. Of course, they up in the club, and while they're in the club, they hear, which we know is going to be later on down the line for BMF Entertainment, a woman named Purdy. Her single is bumping through the clubs right now, and they all feeling it. This scene was hilarious to me because I was just like, out of nowhere, y'all just hop up. It's just like, oh, this is a great song. Like it was just the way they did. I'm like, really? Like, ain't nobody doing it like that, man. Like, for real, like, ain't nobody doing it like that.
I mean, there has been stories, but no, that was a little bit different. Never mind, because it was a story where he had shut the club down and he played Jeezy album the whole night. But if I am mistaken, the album or the mixtape was given to him to play. He liked a couple of tracks, and then he just paid the DJ to play it the whole night.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could be. It could.
But it's just the way that, like, how they introduce it. He in there just like, oh, whoever this is fire. And I'm just like, like it. I don't know. I guess naturally to me, it wouldn't be like that way. But anyways, in the process of them up there, just having a good time, Meech sees none other than Lucky, and Meech tells Lucky, like, hey, won't you give me a proper introduction since I'm back home in Atlanta, which she does, of course, we all know. And here we got none other than Nicole and Rodney sitting in the back seat of Nicole's little Civic, which I think they were at the airport.
It looked like they was at the airport.
I don't know, but
thinking more reality than actual.
Yeah. It's kind of hard not to go to the real thing. So, they're having a whole conversation, and Rodney is telling Nicole of like how all his friends, they done dumped their girlfriends and everything as they about to go off to college. And Nicole's like, hey, is that what you're trying to tell me, that you want to do the same thing? He's like, nah, like I'm with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be with you. And we all knew where this was all going. Like I said, we've seen it since season 1. It's pretty much following the real story. And they do the whole deed. And of course, after they finish, to get caught by none other than the police in the back seat.
Windows foggy and everything.
So here we got Nicole in the interrogation room with none other than Detective Waters, and Detective Waters is asking her, where did she get the car from? As we find out that the car is stolen. Nicole says, she ends up getting the car from another brother, a made up brother. I think his name was Michael Smith, she said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she ends up giving him a fake name and says, he's the bastard son, but he loves me very much. So he was the one who gave me the car.
Was I surprised that the car was stolen?
I was surprised the car was stolen.
I was shocked. I was like, nah, something just came. I like, maybe they pulled it in just to try to get some information. about, either Meech or T, because the car can't be stolen. Why would Meech buy a stolen car? None of that makes any sense. And put Nikki in the stolen car. That's crazy to me.
Nah, but we find out, which we'll get to that scene later on. But
initially, I was just like, what?
Yeah, and I'm going to elaborate more when we get on that scene. So, of course, Detective Ward like, hey, we know all about your family, the Flenorys, we know about your two brothers. She like, hey, I ain't even like that. I got a full scholarship to go to college. Again, he tries to get her to point out whether Meech or Terry gave her the car, and she doubled down and was like, hey, this who gave me the car. He's the bastard son. So I gotta shout out to Nicole, man. She definitely held it down. I mean, I knew she wasn't gonna snitch, but the way she was just so quick with it on her feet, like I was like, damn. I was like, yeah, Nicole growing up in front of our eyes, and she done learned it to hanging around Meech and Terry. So of course they end up putting her in lockup as Detective Waters, in my opinion. He just put her in there to try to scare her.
Yeah, Grey Room Hotel, he called it.
Yeah, because she thought, she was still a minor. Like, hey, just call my parents so they come get me. And he like, nah, you 18 now. You an adult. So he throws her up in there, which I felt like he was just doing that just to try to see if he could break her down and try to get some information. Yeah. Back at the Flenory home, Charles gets a call and finds out that the tour has been, I guess, canceled or postponed, at least for now, as the lead singer is having surgery on his vocal cords.
Man, I know people go bust my balls about, because of what Charles did, but it seems like my man Uncle Charles can't get a break, bro.
Can't get one.
It's like my man Uncle Charles. I'm just like, come on, man. He need a win. At some point, he need one win.
Yeah, he can't get a break. Like he going through it right now. So after this, he finds out he's no longer going on the road anymore. So I'm pretty sure like he's got to try to figure out what he's going to do and how he's going to get some money.
And then who hit him with well, how you gonna pay child support now?
Yeah. And I was thinking in my head, as soon as she said it, I was like, for who? Because I was like, Meech and Terry are grown, and we had just found out that Nicole is 18. So that's why I was like, for who? And at the same time, I'm just like, I guess she's still, I don't know, still bitter.
She definitely still hurt. And that's why I said, like, you're a pastor, you're supposed to be doing that forgiveness thing, man. And, you just keep wishing this, I don't know. It's like she make it rain harder when it come down on Charles. Like Uncle Charles already didn't catch a break, and she just like, yeah, child support, whether it's back child support or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's 18 and 9 months, but I need that 9 months pay, my boy. We ain't getting out of that. She just,
yeah. I'm just like, you already told him last episode, like, this my house.
Uncle Charles, get out the house.
So while they're having their little back and forth conversation, the phone rings again, and Mama Lucia picks up the phone and find out that it's Nikki, who was called from jail, who needs to be bailed out. And after finding out that she needs to be bailed out, she calls none other than Meech and tells Meech that you just ultimately ruined your little sister's life, as Nicole is in jail from the car that you gave her, which they find out to be stolen. So after that phone call, Meech gets off of the phone and Duffy rolls up and he asks Duffy about the cars, and Duffy tells him like, no, it's the same person we've been using. So the car, none of the cars should have been hot. Everything should have been wiped clean, like as always. And Meech says, yo, we're gonna have to go pay her a visit to figure out exactly what the hell happened. Mm-hmm. And back at the Flenory home, Mama Lucille is in there saying prayers and still get down on Charles as she tells him, if you wasn't out here trying to chase these pipe dreams and stuff, we wouldn't be going through this right now with Nicole in jail, our boys out there in the streets running wild. This house would be fixed and all of that type of stuff. You would have money coming in. I believe that's what Charles brings in. Like, hey, what about you? You got money coming in now. Like, you the big passer. So, like, fun. Yep, yeah. So, so it just ain't gonna be all on me like it was before. Like, you got money coming in now. So,
yeah,
like. You just can't jump all on me now.
Then she hit my man's with the, you need to crawl on your knees and beg for your job back.
That's right.
Crawl on your knees
and beg for your job back at the plant.
Man, the dude, like, that is crazy. Sheesh.
Yeah, I was just like,
she was pouring on, man.
Yeah, and I got it. Like last season, she was getting her get back, but I'm just like, hey,
they both done moved on.
Yeah, like they both done moved on. Like at this point, you might as well just tell Charles to get out the house. Like, if this, point, you know what I'm saying? If this how you gonna throw it in his face 24/7,
he might be a glutton for punishment because he just sitting around. I'm like, look, I gotta get up out of here. You wildin'. He might just be
for sure.
Yeah.
So here we got Hoop, who is up here knocked out sleep at the plant, waiting on B Mickey to come back, and B Mickey rolls up on him and like, yo, man, like I already told y'all, I'm not gonna say nothing. I just want to holler. You know, I just want to talk to Meech, want to talk to Terry, and you know, Hoop like, hey man, I'm just doing what I told. And B Mickey tells him, I ain't never fell asleep on a job wait for somebody. You tell T that I need to holler at him. And here we got Detective Waters, who's giving a call to Detective Bryant down in Atlanta, and he gives him info on the cars. He tells Detective Bryant that they just arrested Nicole Flenory for a stolen car. They went through the information and they found that the info on the car comes back to an Atlanta dealership called Apex 5 Motors. And since he knows that he's down there in Atlanta working on things on the Flenory, basically following Meech, that he would love to have that info, which Detective Bryant takes down the info, and of course he goes to do some investigation at Apex 5 Motors. So here in the restaurant, we got Isaac and we got T, who is discussing moving weight through what was Isaac using? Trucks, right?
Yeah, he was using trucks.
Yeah, so moving stuff through trucks, and T questions him on, how none of the trucks been pulled over, and he tells him, they wrap all the work in dog poop.
Cow
poop, it throws off the dog scent. So that's how they're able to move everything and not be caught. And in this whole conversation, Isaac, matter of fact, not Isaac, but Terry brings up Markeisha, and Isaac just had this little happy face, like he done did some things with Markeisha, or wanted to do some things with Markeisha.
He did something in his head already, for sure.
Something in his head, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And Terry just straight up tell him, like, hey, yo, like, chill on Markeisha, like, because Boone done already put out 2 hits on people behind Markeisha. And going forward, she's going to be the one that he's going to be meeting with going forward when it's time to re-up and it's time to move more work. Markeisha is going to be the person that he's going to have to check in with as far as the work and money and everything else is concerned.
Do you think that was personal? He was just being like 100% honest.
Who, T?
Yeah.
No, I think it was both. Because I think multiple things. I think one, he was being personal because, of course, he still got feelings for Markeisha, number one. Number two, I think he was trying to tell him, like, hey, like, I know you used to work with Boom, and like Boom done put out a hit. They try to take basically me out already twice, me and Markeisha. But I think he just did go into to great detail on the 2 hits. I also thought maybe he was just trying to say that to just in case, like, Isaac went back to say something to Boone, like, oh yeah, she's still T still messing with Mark.
Oh, right.
Not, you know what I'm saying, since the introduction is coming in through them, because I think maybe, and now that I think about it, that might have been why Isaac did that. And he was like, yeah, man,
about that, right? Because she said that she was done with him.
Yep, she told Boom she was completely done with him, like she wasn't messing with him no more. Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah, so here we have the salesperson over at Apex 5 Motors, Alexandra Lucas, who was the one who was able to get Meech and then the cars. Meech and Duffy roll up on her in her office and ask her about the cars. And she tells them, like, the person that sold it to me, they gave it to me, said that the cars were clean. In the process of them talking, Meech just happens to look out of the window and he sees none other than Detective Bryant rolling up. Which I was like, damn, dog. I was like, yeah, he did. And when we get to that scene, I'm kind of with Duff. He did look shook when as soon as he looked a little shook. Because immediately he tells Alexandra, like, hey, it's a guy coming in here. When this guy comes up in here, keep your mouth shut. Do whatever you can to get him out of here. And Duffy's gonna slide back through later to throw you some dough. Which she ends up doing. She goes to Detective Bryant and she tells Detective Bryant, like, no, that's not the person who I sold the car to. I'm not even sure. We get so many car sales in this dealership or whatnot. So pretty much that I can't help you. Which Detective Bryant already knew automatically, like, she was full of shit and that she was lying. And of course, we know later on he's probably just going to come back with a warrant or something to get some type of information, whether it's the deed, the sale, or the actual footage, which I hate jumping, but we saw that during the preview of the next episode. And right here, Duffy's like, yo, bro, like, who was that? Because I ain't never seen you this shook like this. Like, you hopped out of there so quick. Like, what's going on? And he tells him, that was Bryant from back in Detroit. They gave him hell. And so now he has to stay 10 steps ahead as Bryant is now back in the picture down in Atlanta. So they got to figure out how to stay 10 steps ahead of Bryant. But Meech already tells Duffy, like, yeah, I already got all this figured out. I got it all figured out. This is so here we have Charles, who is here in the pawn shop, who is going to sell his guitar to go get some bail money to bail out Nicole, as which we forgot to touch on in that scene where Mama Lucille and him was going back and forth. They were discussing on how to get the money. And they said, Lucille said she wasn't calling Meech. She thought about calling Terry, and Charles was the one that stopped her and said, we can't call Terry because then they're still going to ask how we're going to get the money. Mm-hmm. And then that's when she brings up, well, Charles, if you was doing this, we would have the money. And he brought up, well, what about you? You the big pastor now. You should have some money.
Get them funds up.
You got the funds up. So he goes here to pawn his guitar so that he can get the money to bail Nicole out of jail. And which they do. They bail Nicole out of jail. Man, this was probably the best scene. This is probably the best scene in the whole episode.
Oh, for sure.
So they come home and Nicole throws her jacket down. Mama Lucille's like, hey, that's not where, your jacket is supposed to go. Mm-hmm. And she tells her, like, hey, and the detectives told us what your little nasty ass was doing in the backseat of that car. A little fast tail and everything. And I gotta give it to Nicole, man. Nicole stood 10 toes right down. It was just like, man, look, like, I'm grown. I'm 18.
You was getting your back cracked around this time.
Yeah, I done seen everything. You know what I'm saying? Y'all been jumping on me all the time. Meanwhile, like she said last season at the dinner, Meech and Terry, they got all these kids. And she just lets it go, like, you getting on me, you been real holy right now, because when you was my age, you had what, 1 or 2? Yeah. Charles' face already knew where it was going. He knew immediately, like, oh nah, this about to get bad quick.
It's about to get physical.
It's about to get real bad.
Lucille said, let's go ahead and run it.
Yeah, Lucille said, let's go ahead and run it.
Let's go ahead and run it.
Let's go ahead and run it, which lets me know.
Yeah.
This lets me know that before she was saved, Mama Lucille was nothing to play with in the streets.
Oh,
Cause, bruh, all of that, all her, the pastor and all that stuff went out the window. Like she was about to literally lay hands on Nicole. Charles knew that and had to, and he could barely hold her back.
yeah.
He could barely hold her back. Now, I had my prediction wrong from last week when I said I thought this was going to be a scene where we was going to get that Nicole finds out that she was pregnant. So I was wrong about that, but we know that it's going to lead up to the pregnancy, as we just now found out that, you know, Mama Lucille knows that she was in the backseat of that Civic doing some things. So back down in Atlanta, Duffy and Meech are going over the cars and going over their stories and everything and trying to figure out, like, you know, hey, we gotta have our story straight just in case this comes back on us. Duffy was the one to put in his ear, like, you know, hey, you need to call your sister because we didn't know exactly what she told them so that we can have our story straight on our end. And Meech calls Nicole and asks Nicole, like, hey, you know, which was super smart too. I like how the way he disguised it about the car and brought up the concert promoter and some tickets. And she basically tells him, you know, like, hey, I told him I got the tickets from Michael Smith, which was the alias that she gave Detective Waters, who gave her the car. And me just like, you know, thank you, Nicole. Of course, as usual, I'm gonna make it up to her. She just gives Meech like, hey man, the big fuck you. And Meech after that was like dumbfounded. Like this ain't your little sister no more. Like she gone now.
Yeah, she tired.
Yeah, she tired of it all. Like it's
too much stuff that she didn't, you know, her last dude got unalived because of something that they was into. You know, she didn't ran into beef, you know, walking into the mall with Southwest T. Just too much.
Yeah. Shoot, matter of fact, I also forgot about, they spoke about her and Rodney spoke about Lamar in the car in the backseat. And she was hoping, like, wherever he is, I hope he is dead and stuff, because Lamar was the one who unalived her boyfriend, her first boyfriend. So of course she don't care. So we're back here at Detective Brian's home in Atlanta, and he's looking over a map of everything, trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. And while he's doing that, he gets a knock at the door from none other than Officer Hardy from the Red Dogs. And he brings Officer Hardy in, and Officer Hardy tells him, like, Kane, he kind of apologizes, like, sorry about earlier. And, Officer Kane has like this Napoleon complex thing, that's kind of like, how he treated you the way he did in interrogation and all of that. And he finds out that the person that Detective Brian is investigating is Meech. And he says, yeah, we know Meech. We know all about him. We got a word that a shipment is coming in, so you should get in. You should get in on this. To which Detective Brian's like, okay, cool, like I'm all with it.
I thought that was my man from Class Act.
You say?
I thought that was my man from Class Act with the box fade.
Oh, we talking about the one that said, I thought you was gonna play with my frog.
I thought you was gonna play with my frog.
Yeah. I can't even remember his name, but I know exactly who you're talking about. So man, here we got T, who rolled up into Marquisha's spot, just rolled up in the joint, the house that he bought her. And Marquisha like, the hell you doing? Just rolling up into my house like that. And he was like, I still got to keep, just the house I paid for, like, or whatnot. But he tells Marquisha, hey, got everything set up, but you're going to run it. He's going to report to you, and it's all yours. And of course, she thanks Terry, and I guess Terry thought he was about to get some physical favors, and she hit him with the same thing that he hit her with on the last episode. Like, nah, just business. Like, nah, see you next time, and make sure next time you come over, to knock on the door. Yeah, call or something like that, ring the doorbell or whatnot. Dang, man. So I guess since we didn't see it, but I'm assuming that Charles calls the factory and begs for his job back. As we see Charles here, he's going into the closet to grab his GM Motors uniform, and I think the reality is setting in. Like, man, I'm back to where I started. Like, I was just living it up. I was on the road, was getting everything going with my music, was making very good money, and now I'm back here struggling again. So, yeah, man, Charles, man, his time gonna come. He gonna get something. He gonna get something eventually. I can see it. Maybe he gonna get it coming with since we know Meech and Terry about to open up this whole BMF record deal, not record deal, record label this season. So maybe he gonna bring Charles down to Atlanta, have him produce some things and stuff like that to keep some money flowing in his pocket. So here we got this. So we got Officer Kane along with Officer I forgot what was his name that quick. I forgot his name.
Hardy.
Yeah, Officer Hardy, Detective Bryant, and the lady's name was Officer Turner. Officer Turner. As they all four of them, they're sitting in the car at a hangar where they suspect that some work is being flown in from Colombia that is going to get distributed to Meech. And Kang is running it a certain way, and Detective Brian is trying to tell him, no, let's wait, let's not jump in on them as soon as the door opens. Which Kane doesn't listen, and they all jump on him. Now, I can say I did not see this coming. So SWAT comes in from the other side as one of the Colombian pilots who they don't speak English, goes to reach for something which they all thought was a gun, and it ends up turning out to be a cell phone. And as they're firing in the crossfire, Detective Kane gets hit by one of his own police officers, SWAT.
I thought that he was, like, for me, the writing was on the wall for this guy, but it was more so that he was going to get suspended or he was just too over the top or something, because they kept putting emphasis on him and his character. So I thought maybe he was going to get suspended. Like, they was going to be like, yeah, y'all come out there, y'all with some ass, but he damn near, unaliving, folks out there. So we got to take him off the streets.
Yeah. And I'm thinking this is what's going to open up the door, since Detective Bryant was there, that like he's probably going to end up taking his spot and running the Red Dogs so that they could continue to investigate Meech. Because right after that, he had Officer Turner here go and search the plane, to which there was nothing at all on the plane, and she ends up finding a cell phone on the Colombian pilot, and everybody's just wondering like what's going on. And as usual, Brian has always said he's always ahead of them, and Bryant just knows that he's out there somewhere watching them, which Meech and Duffy was sitting there watching them the entire time, watching them pound on the plane, and none of the work was up there. So while they're sitting there watching, Duffy wonders like, okay, well, if that plane is empty, where did all the work go? And we found out that Meech had, we'll wait till that scene come. But till we get to that scene, but we found, Meech had the plane redirected. The plane with the work was redirected to somewhere else. So here we have T and B Mickey sitting down here at the park, and T just tells him like, nah, you're not welcome in the family. Like, so that's out of the question. Like, I heard everything that's going on with your baby girl and whatnot. Here goes some bread. And of course, B Mickey's like, nah, I don't want it. Told him straight up. He was like, I'd rather earn it. I want to earn it. So that's why he wants back in, because he has to take care of his daughter. But he doesn't want the handout. He wants to earn it. I mean, I get it. Like, somewhat ego thing, maybe a little male thing, but I still would have took that money and still would have I'm still
it's for your daughter, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It ain't for you trying to catch up on a mortgage or something like that. At that point, your pride kicks in. You like, I'd rather live on my car. But when it comes down to your daughter, come down to your seed, You like, yeah, you're already the next to church, so I get the history between y'all, and if it probably was coming from me, she probably would have took it instead of coming from T. Because of the history of him and T, like T tried to take him out, he was about to take T out, whatever. But I think parts of it is B Mick just went back in general. I think this gives him the reason to get back in.
Mm-hmm.
He just went back in.
I'm just wondering who is the one that's gonna let him in. Like, is T gonna have like, is he gonna change his mind? And be like, you know what, we gotta bring B Mickey in, and he brings him back into, because we know he comes back. I'm just wondering if it's him or Meech that say like, yo, yeah, let's let him back in.
I think it's Meech, and that's gonna add on to the fallout. Because T never really liked him anyway. He said it before. He was like, I never liked your little second grade buddy anyway, because y'all they've been cool since second grade. So he tells him, like, I never liked him anyway. But he was only around because of you, So I think he's gonna be Meech, and that's gonna pile on to the fallout.
I get that, but then I'm thinking at the same time, since Meech ain't running Detroit, like how he gonna bring him back into the fold with him not being in Detroit and him having to answer the T? Because easily, as soon as Meech can go back to Atlanta, he'll be like, nah, I don't care what my brother say. Like, you ain't rolling with us. So I'm wondering if somebody gonna put a bug in Terry's ear, or Terry just gonna have that change of heart.
He could be working something else with B Mickey, maybe set up a separate hub for BMF, you know what I'm saying, in Detroit, outside of, of course he still have to answer to Meech, but kind of get something else going on. But I think if it's going to be anybody, it's going to be Meech, because T, there's no how, he's too prideful. No how, no way.
Yeah. It probably is going to end up being Meech. So back here again, we're back in the club with Laz, Duffy, and Meech. And it's supposed to be a celebration party for this new artist named Purdy, who is supposed to be, I guess, her single release or record release party or whatever. And Meech happens to see her over at the bar with her, I guess, a manager.
Is he the manager or CEO of the record label?
Oh yeah, I'm guessing probably both. Whose name is Trail. And Meech is like, man, she just over there looking run down. Look like he just had her drinking like some cranberry juice.
Like, it looked like she's drinking the whale drinks that they serve, you know what I'm saying, for the $3 or $5 when you walk in there for happy hour. Like, this don't even look like it's her event.
Yeah, it don't at all. So Meech rolls up on her, tells her like, hey, this is a dope record. Why you over here looking like that? Why you drinking this? And Purdy tells him, Trail is the one who produced my whole album. He saves all of that glitz and glamour and stuff, for himself. And, Meech basically tells her like, well, at first I thought he was going to try to hit on her. Like, if you with me, like, ain't none of that going down. But, he says, this your album release party. Like, you should be celebrating it up. So as long as you in here and I'm in here, like, you gonna celebrate right. And he ends up pouring her a glass of Cristal, which Trail didn't like at all.
This was a boss move. He pretty much told her to run with the winners. You know what I'm saying? Like, you losing if you stay in this way. We the winners. We drinking Cristal or whatever. And he got you drinking well beverages. You drinking Jack and Coke.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We might as well have on black Air Force Ones and something from City Train right now. It's supposed to be your event, and you out here looking like this and drinking Jack and Coke. That's crazy. No, I roll with the winners. You know what I'm
wondering if Trail's gonna become a villain for Meech this season as well.
I think so. I think he got two villains. That we gonna see for sure. Yeah. For sure, when we get to that one scene, for sure.
Yeah, because I'm wondering if Trail is just not just a CEO or record manager or whatever. Like, I wonder if he's even into more stuff than what we haven't found out about yet. And of course, that's gonna come to a head.
I think he do, but I'm gonna give like my predictions on that, towards the end.
So after he blesses Purdy with some Cristal, he looks over and none other than Lucky is on stage. And we got Lucky back at the crib with Meech and a couple of the girls. And she persuades him the first time to try it. And he like, nah, I don't do none of that stuff. I'm good or whatnot. And hands it off to one of the ladies who was there. And then again, she persuades him even more, like, hey, like, just take it, just do it. Like, it's not gonna hurt you. And Meech gives in and he ends up popping the pill, which me and Jack had this conversation offline, which we think is none other that she is introducing him to ecstasy. Like, since it's a pill, because immediately, like as soon as it hit him, like he had this euphoric feeling and he falls back and
Yeah, he kind of took off.
yeah, he took off into space. So I think here, to add on to the work that they move in, that now he is going to start moving ecstasy as well. It also could be a plot twist that she might have just been trying to get him high to possibly get some information out of Meech. Because Lucky still, like, it's just her face, like the facial expression she's giving is almost like she's working for somebody or like she's up to something. So no,
It could be, but it could be, but I don't see. Seem like she'd be doing something more to get more information out of him. I think what they got going on is just more so sexual, because he calls her by name, like he'd met her before and known her before, and dealt with her before when he first gets back to the palace. So I feel like they had like past dealings, in the past, just as he left and went to Mexico. She got introduced to the ecstasy, and now she kind of just putting him onto the ecstasy because they got this sexual thing, and we all know the how ecstasy is supposed to affect your sex drive and everything. So I think that's like a part of it.
I could be wrong, and of course the folks in the comments will let us know. But I think Lucky was there last season. Was on the show last season because I think she didn't like because I think she was mad that Meech picked what was the girl's name? Was her name Crystal?
I think so.
Yeah, I believe her name was Crystal. Yeah, I believe that she got mad that he picked Crystal over her.
I had a Weebay moment. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I think she was there. So I'm thinking this probably could be revenge or something to that nature. But we'll see as this season unfolds even more. So to piggyback what I was saying earlier, as to where Duffy asked him where did he get the work shipped off to, we all find out that he got it shipped off to St. Louis to Jay Pusher. Man, oh man. And in the process of while getting the work delivered, Jay Pusher makes a statement like, well, hey, we got all the work. Let's sell all. If we can knock all of this out, sell this out, the plug won't need Meech or Terry. So we can already see what type of time Jay Pusher, he already being a snake, as T calls him, because I'm already like 99% sure this is who T calls a snake. In that certain scene. But I mean, it shows that Jay Pusher on something else. He on his own time. He trying to cut them out altogether.
But you know what? In one of the scenes earlier, I can't remember if he was talking to Duffy. I think was talking to Meech, and he said something to the effect that Jay Pusher was already ready to unalive us because of something happened or whatever. So you already know what type of Pusher what type of time Jay Pusher is on. He was on that type of time where he kind of showed his hand when Meech came down there to visit him, and they had took his brother.
That's right. Yeah. So I mean,
it's just kind of like, I don't need no assistance from nobody. It's my city. I do things my way. And Meech just like, I'm just trying to help.
Exactly. Yeah. And I don't know if that's because they changed it, the story around. I don't know if Jay Pusher did this in real life. I don't think he did because I never heard anything about the real Jay Pusher doing anything scandalous like this. It was always like he was one of the like the main hubs, like one of the most loyal people once he got on the BMF that, you know, to help him out there in St. Louis and everything as that midway point.
They adding drama, but this part I never heard of.
Yeah, so I mean, I won't be surprised if before the season is out, they flip it around and maybe Jay Pusha gets unalived, or this possibly could also be, you know, Meech keeping Jay Pusha around is probably also what's going to be that whole cause and effect of him and T. You know, they going their separate ways now, because I'm sure since T, you know, already don't like Jay Pusha, don't trust him, and Meech's like, nah, we got to keep him around because, you know, he's one of
It's his money.
Yeah, he's one of the top earners. So on the next episode, got some quick scenes as we see Meech and Terry here, who it looks like I think this is a scene like they're backstage of a record. I mean, not a record, a video shoot and whatnot. But we know that this episode is where they're going to start, where Meech is going to start, you know, the BMF label and whatnot. And we see Purdy here, which, yeah, I think that's the same scene. We seen Purdy here, who was shooting a video for her song. And here's the scene right here where T is telling Meech, like, you know, he overstepped his bounds, which he was speaking none other than Jay Pusha. And Pusha was like, I was just doing what I thought Meech would do. Mm-hmm. So we already know it's going to be some friction there, because I'm thinking that Pusha probably moved a lot of the work and never hit T to tell him, like, yo, we already moved the work, or probably just never even gave T his work and moved, you know, T's work for him, but gave Meech his work or whatnot. Something along those lines. But we know it has to be with the work, and T doesn't trust him, and Meech tells him, like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Like, we know he's talking to Jay Pusha, you know, hey, you don't run this, you know, we run this, so you got to fall in line, or, you know, you got to get out all together. And here is where I think something's going to happen in Atlanta, because T is telling Meech right here that they need to move all the distro back to Detroit. I think because, I think this is when he finds out that that Brian is down in Atlanta. So he's like, yo, let's move everything back to Detroit, which is somewhat kind of smart. But at the same time, I'm kind of with Meech, like, nah, because stuff that they have down there, like all them out cars and all that, that's only those have access to that stuff.
Your mic going in and out.
Oh, you said mic going in and out?
Yeah.
Oh,
all right, very good.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if T even knows or has access to that to the what you call that, to the tricked out cars. I only think he knows about the tricked out cars. I can't remember if he does or if he doesn't.
Well, he got to know something about it, because they both went to, when the fighter introduced the cars, or at least how they was putting the cars together and stashing and stuff. T was there.
That's right. Right.
Yeah, T was there, so he got to know something.
Yeah, so yeah, you're right. Excuse me, folks. My mind is a little foggy. It's been so long between season 3 and now season 4 of BMF. So our stuff a little foggy, but trust, as the season progresses, we'll make sure everything all lines up. Here we see Detective Bryant, which, what I stated earlier, more than likely he was just going to get a warrant, but we see him here watching video footage of Meech and Duffy coming into the car dealership, which basically puts them there that, you know, Alexandra lied and said, you know, she's never seen him before, and this is going to prove that she's lying, as Meech and Duffy came into the car dealership. And here we got another scene with Nicole, and I'm wondering here if she is, it might still be too early to reveal the pregnancy, as we know Nicole in real life gets pregnant. Maybe here is, she says that she's not going to college.
Could be. Or she could just be revealing that, yeah, you know, maybe we have like a little time jump.
Yeah, that's right. We could.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot about that. We definitely could have a time jump.
Yeah.
We could have a time jump, or maybe Mama Lucille's kicking her out. Like, you out here doing as she says these ungodly things. Since you grown, then you could go out on the streets, and you could be grown out there on your own, since you don't want to listen to nothing that yeah. So, but we'll see. And here we have Markeisha, who's talking to none other than Terry, and Terry is frustrated because Meech is doing something which we haven't found out yet, and Markeisha recognizes, like, yo, only person that gets you that upset is Terry. I mean, I'm sorry, only person that gets you that upset is Meech. So clearly it's something that Meech has done. And he's telling her, like, hey, as usual, Meech is not listening to anything I say. I think Markeisha is also going to be a person that's going to cause the rift between them more, because she's going to be in his ear, which we already saw since she's came into the picture. Like, hey, you don't really need Meech. You could do this by yourself. You could run this.
Put the battery in his back.
Yeah, put the battery in his back, and that's just gonna make.
You don't need XYZ. You need to be moving like this and moving like that. Which, shut up.
So I think she's gonna cause even more friction between them, and that's it. So, please make sure to like and subscribe. Please drop your comments, your thoughts, and predictions down in the chat. As usual, whenever the picks drop, we are going to bring the predictions of the next of episode 3, and we will also be back again to review episode 3 of BMF. Before we roll out, Jack and George, got any last statements?
I see this season actually getting better as it progresses, and the more that I think about it, we still got a lot to talk about when it comes down to BMF. So I kind of take back what I said before. Said that this is probably the last season. I mean, we still got to get to the Wolf incident, which I think played like a significant role in how things turn, for BMF. And I think we still got a lot of room before we even get to that point.
Yeah.
So I think as we get progressively better. At first, I wasn't looking forward to this episode. To this season. I'm not even gonna lie, I wasn't even staying up to watch it. It comes on at 9:00 my time. And I was like, I'll watch it the next day. But I think as we go forward, it's gonna get a lot better. A lot better.
Yeah. Same here. As I stated on the last one, I don't think that it's gonna end. I think like I said, 50 made that statement way after everything was already shot. Because like you said, it's so much that we haven't even gotten close to with the whole BMF story. Like you said, that whole Wolf incident, everything. So if this is the actual end of the season, then we're ending the season with the story untold. Unless
very premature.
Yeah, very premature. Unless, like I said, we got some huge time jump in one of the episodes, and then it fast forwards to near the end, and maybe 50 doing that whole thing. This was gonna be the last season. Maybe he did that, calculated, as we know how 50 does. But it's yet to see. So, but yep. Like I said again, please make sure y'all like, subscribe, comment, let us know y'all predictions, and we will see y'all on episode 3.